Hey David, thank you so much for making yourself available.
Rich, great.
So you were the founder of Pillar Project, which unfortunately didn't succeed.
Right, right.
Uh, and also you've been involved in tech for ages and ages and ages. And then we've done some recent videos about the coaching that you offer for longevity. And now you're onto another venture, which I assume is called Redshift Labs,
Right.
right? As you sit in your alien spaceship console. Do
Right.
you want to say a little bit about yourself and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about?
I'm a lifelong tech entrepreneur. I was part of the creation of the World Wide Web. I was part of a movement that you've never heard of that should have happened, but it was a wave that was very small called the semantic web, and then crypto. And now I'm excited to be in AI. I've been telling people for a long time I'm studying AI, I'm watching AI, but I don't have an edge in AI until about 6 months ago when I had an idea for an app that I thought would be a killer app in AI. And so now I do have an edge, and now I'm back on flat out going 1,000 miles an hour trying to work my way up to the front of the train of the speeding AI bullet that is overtaking humanity. And I'm very optimistic and want to spend some time explaining how it works and what people should do about it.
Okay. Now, since this is a crypto and politics channel, is there a token involved?
Thank goodness, no.
No, no free funny money.
I've had enough tokens. I've spent enough time with lawyers to be thrilled not to be offering a token at this point.
Okay, all right. So, uh, AI, for people who don't know, artificial intelligence, people will know about Chat GPT and Perplexity and DeepSeek and Grok. And there's a few others. Those are the four that I've used on occasion.
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, what is AI? And then what is so different
Yeah,
about
let's
your
let's
app?
jump let's jump into the material and I'll give an overview. And there you see the AI Express.
Yep.
All right. Great. So AI encompasses a lot of things and it changes every week or maybe every day almost. My goal every time I get involved in a new tech wave is to get out and or go around the world and explain what the heck it is because people don't explain things well and it's too technical and there's too much jargon. And so my goal is if I had a AI university, this would be the syllabus. And today we're just going to start with language models. What are they? And then my next group of videos will be my next video will or my next talk will be drop everything. What companies should do now, and we can record that another time.
Mhm.
So there are several. AI is just this exploding area that everybody's heard of. Crypto made a few people rich and a few people poor, probably more rich than poor, but it didn't really do anything. You can't really point to any serious crypto projects that had any real effect in the real world, except that Bitcoin and Ether are a store of value. So they, in my view, they are a better form of gold than gold is, but not much else. We thought it would kind of, power up all this explosion of apps and capabilities. It didn't really happen. But AI touches everything, and AI is fast going to change everyone's life. Whoever you are, you will be dramatically changed by AI. In this talk, I'm just going to explain LLMs, large language models, what they are, how they're used, and how to get the most out of them.
Okay. Now, a large language model. This is, by the way, I'm going to be flicking between your screen and our talking heads
Sure.
as we listen.
Sure. So most people are familiar with what they are. Most people have used ChatGPT, and I'm going to walk through not only how it works, but what it does. So shall I get into it?
Yeah, please.
All right. So this is how LLMs work. And these are the terms I'm going to just define. You've probably heard some of these terms, and it's complicated and technical, but let's just jump in and see if we can learn what a transformer is. An AI transformer is really an autocomplete machine. To understand what a transformer does, you need to understand how autocomplete works. It's no surprise that the critical AI transformer paper came out of Google in 2017, where they had years of experience auto-completing billions and billions of sentences in Gmail and in the chat and in the search window. I expect that one paper in this one area probably paid Google back for launching and maintaining Gmail for all those years before. Autocomplete is all LLMs do. It first has to understand that the user is asking a question. It has seen billions of questions. It has seen billions of who is questions, hundreds of thousands of who is the narrator of questions, and hundreds of thousands of references to the words Moby and Dick occurring next to each other. It actually has no idea what's being asked. It just computes the most likely answer given this arrangement of words followed by a question mark. It does not know what you're asking. And so it puts the answer together word by word, starting with the word the, just because most published answers to questions asking for a narrator start with the word the, followed by narrator, and then of, because the subject of the sentence will come next. And the answer, like this, is going to be almost always the same every single time, even for different LLMs, because it's just a very narrow question and there's a very narrow answer. And we can see where this is going now, but the LLM cannot. It does one word at a time. So the next word is Moby, and that's got the highest score. So it gives you that. And the next word is Dick, but it didn't know that before. It's one at a time. It's just following patterns. So it looks like it's thinking, but it isn't. It associates the name Ishmael with the word narrator because there's so many documents online in its training set that have these two words very close to each other. So how does it do it? An LLM stores most of the words of the English language. There's like 200,000 words of the English language, but 99.9% of them is like 100,000 words. And it stores them as vectors, which gives them a direction. Now, the vectors seem random at first, but they begin to map out all the words in English. And then it computes this green vector that shows the relationship between male and female. And that same green vector shows up between words like king and queen, or buck and doe, or even bolt and nut. So this green arrow is sort of like male-female difference, and it's a parameter. It's not a vector. The vector is the data, and a parameter is information in the space of data. It's a numerical representation of something the LLM has learned about the relationships between words. It's only words, and it's reduced to numbers. So here's an analogy, Rich. In latitude and longitude, Boston is straight north of New York, and Bern is straight north of Monaco. And this shows that New York and Boston are close to each other on the north-south axis, while Monaco and Bern are farther away, but also aligned north-south. And then we can compute the difference between them, and that's a parameter. The green arrow at the top means north by about 340 kilometers. The longer green arrow means Bern is north of Monaco by about twice that distance. And that'll hold for all locations. The green arrow is a measure of north-southness.
Okay, so the parameter, from what you're saying, sounds like it also shows the relationship between the data.
Yes, and this is all made up through numbers as it goes. Nobody is telling it to look for north-southness. Okay, it figured that out by these numbers it had to figure out what longitude and latitude were, but it doesn't really know. It just sees numbers.
Yeah.
And so it actually is just coming up with ideas for what might be correlated. And so there are billions of parameters that specify relationships between all 100,000 or so English words. So even though this isn't a map, the vectors, the vectors are the data, and the green arrows tell us a lot about relationships. And this is a 3D representation of, say, a bunch of words. The vectors are the words, and the parameters are the relationship, are the map. The parameters are the geography, and the words are locations in that geography. Now, this shows a kind of a three-dimensional space, and I had ChatGPT make this little purple diagram just to show that it's a very kind of undulating space. But in fact, the space has 12,000 dimensions to it, not 3.
Yeah.
12,000. So we can't possibly visualize that. And that's because words are used in so many different contexts. So we can't visualize that, but AI can, but machines can.
Yeah, just on that, because it must be so incredibly dense, because not only there's the established parameters, or well-spoken, or commonly used, like a nice car, a small girl.
Yeah.
No one's going to say a plate of houses, except I just said it now.
Well, it depends how often you see plate of houses in the training data.
Right.
Right. If it's not there, then there's no parameter.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So if there's nonsense online, that'll get baked in, and I'm going to explain that later.
There's a lot of nonsense online.
So just keep in mind that this is just a cartoon of how it is, and in reality, everything is thousands of times more complicated than I'm showing. Now let's go through a critical example of something called attention. The AI figures out what a sentence means by computing its attention. Attention is the driver of this whole thing. Attention is what the words mean in context in a sentence. To figure that out, the transformer looks at a whole sentence in parallel to understand what's important and what goes together. In this sentence, and this is critical, the tall man wearing the blue shirt was the shooter. We understand that there were possibly several tall men, but only one was wearing a blue shirt. And this is critical to understanding the meaning of the sentence. And that's what attention figures out. And so a transformer generates the attention of a sentence using numbers. All right, so this is an attention layer. You can see the sentence at the top. Each word has thousands and thousands of numbers under it, tens of thousands. And in parallel with all the other words in the sentence, it looks for clues. And one relationship is that a man is a noun. Another is that man is the subject of the sentence, but it doesn't really know what nouns and subjects are. Nobody told it anything like that. It just knows patterns it's seen before. So the structure of the sentence emerges as it goes through one step at a time. These are called steps through each attention layer. And it goes through about 100 steps, each step figuring out another piece of the sentence's puzzle of meaning. And the interesting thing is, after 100 steps, pretty much any sentence can be figured out. It has a numerical understanding of what any sentence means. So even in the future, when we have even bigger language models, it still takes about 100 steps to figure out what a sentence means. By the way, all these random numbers, I didn't make them up by hand. I had Grok do it for me.
Okay, that is incredible. That is mind-boggling. And what I'm thinking is how much I take it for granted that I can formulate sentences the way that I'm doing now, and the undistinguished complexity that's involved in that process.
That's right. For example, if we go here and we say the tall man, comma, wearing the blue shirt, comma, was the shooter, that's a completely different sentence.
Yeah.
Same words, totally different meaning, because it means the blue shirt isn't very important. It's just a guy who happened to be wearing a blue shirt. But without the commas, it means the man wearing the blue shirt, that man. And we just grok that automatically all by ourselves, right? Our brains just, because we're used to it. And it's in the same way. Why? Because we've seen so much before and so it's doing the same thing. It's just not, it doesn't have names for things, it doesn't know nouns. It doesn't have any grammar. It has no grammar in it. So then second thing it does to give an answer. So this helps understand the question after 100 steps. To give an answer, it computes the next word. It predicts the next word. And so you use attention layers and the steps I just outlined to predict the next word as well, but you add a few more steps. And that gives you a probability distribution on which word comes next. Now, there's a little bit of randomness built in. So in cases where probabilities are close, it can choose a slightly different word that's maybe less likely, but pretty close to the same meaning. And that gives it a less robotic feel. You can ask the same question and get different answers, but they shouldn't be too different in meaning. In this case, dog is the overwhelming favorite. There isn't a close second choice because this sentence has been seen so many millions of times online. But if there were a second possible close choice, it could substitute that. And so 90% of most LLMs are dedicated to English words, 10% to about 200 other languages combined. Chinese gets about 2%, and the rest have less than 10%. And the rest have like 8% altogether. ChatGPT's command of French. Do you speak French?
Not really.
It's unbelievable. It's world class. It's phenomenal French.
Right.
You get a lot of language capability for even less than 1% of what we use for English. So even its Sanskrit is very good. Yet the LLM also realizes that there are common structures between languages. So much of what it learns about English can be used for other languages as well. And if you want to know what this says, just take a screenshot and give it to the LLM. It'll decode it for you. It's kind of fun. All right. So in the exact same way, Rich, if we had about 100 times more whale or dolphin data than we have now, and if some billionaire wanted to fund it, we could create an LLM that would be able to say the next click or squeal back to a dolphin call, and it would pass the dolphin or whale Turing test. This is probably true of all animal species that use sound to communicate. We can pass the Turing test now, which means the LLM would have no idea what it's saying, but it would be communicating, and the other animal would think it's another one of their kind.
Wow.
And it has no idea. And there's no dictionary between dolphin and English. So it can actually do this, but we would have no idea there's no way to know what it's saying.
Okay.
And an LLM has no rules, no syntax, and no expert guidance. And that's why AI researcher Frederick Jelinek said, every time I fire a linguist, the performance of our speech recognizer goes up. The AI gets better. So the ideal number of linguists in any AI company is 0. They just cause problems. AI can learn any language. Look, if you train it on enough nonsense, it'll speak fluent nonsense. It can learn Klingon if you give it enough Klingon text. There isn't enough. The training doesn't even tell it what a question mark is or that sentences end with periods. No linguistics. It has to figure everything out by seeing enough patterns. It doesn't know any facts. It seems smart and it's very useful, but it has no idea what it's saying. And AI attention processing has to be done in parallel, which is why NVIDIA became the default chip supplier, because their chips process data in parallel and CPUs don't. So just because of attention that makes LLMs work, NVIDIA became the most valuable company in the world.
Right.
Just because that turned out to work. I mean, there's no way to predict that, right? So now I'm going to show a couple of mistakes. And I've got a lot of mistakes. I'm just going to show a couple. So this was a common mistake 6 months ago. Almost all the LLMs could not figure this out. Since 11 is greater than 9, most of them said 4.11 was greater. The only LLM 6 months ago that could figure it out was Claude. Now, GPT-5, the rest of them, Grok 4, they all get it right now. But here's one. I got this from Grok recently. It says, I honed in on a key distinction. But that's an incorrect use of the word honed. Grok meant to say homed in, H-O-M-E-D. It meant to say homed in, which comes from homing pigeons. But this is such a common mistake in human text that Grok sees it as the natural next word. It doesn't know. The more common a misconception is, the more you'll see it show up in LLM responses. And this is especially true in controversial areas where a lot of text is paid for by people with an agenda, or where people who write a lot simply don't know things or just get it wrong. There are a lot of experts out there who just blather on, and AI takes that in and as their training data. And this is quickly leading to the industrialization of internet waste. Everything that's wrong about Wikipedia and Reddit and the rest of the internet is fast being repackaged and spewed out automatically by LLMs, only to become the input for the next language model that's training. So it's still about gaming the system rather than finding the truth. And this kind of verbal garbage arms race will continue for several years until maybe artificial general intelligence can start digging us out from under it.
An example of that?
Well, the climate stuff. I mean, really,
Oh, well,
so much. I mean,
I had an exchange with ChatGPT.
Take the first step towards online privacy. Get NordVPN.
And I asked it about what was the key driver for climate change, and it said plant food, more specifically carbon dioxide.
yeah, right.
And then I dug in deeper, and I said, well, what about the solar effects? What about oceanic currents? All of this, right? And then it recalculated and it included all those, and then said, you're right, it isn't carbon dioxide.
I do that. I stopped doing that because I got tired of it because it doesn't remember.
No.
But everything else, I mean, is the government good? Is it worth going to university or, high school? I mean, how is the medical system? All this stuff is just, if there's enough nonsense out there, that's what it knows. But the problem is, it's now people are using AI now to churn out so much content that's going to be that's a exponentially increasing arms race that's going to continue. So the next 5 years, we're going to see far more nonsense out there than we've ever seen. It's just not. It's going to make today pale in comparison.
Even more nonsense.
So what then? If we have AGI that can actually figure this out with critical thinking, what will AGI do when it knows what the words actually mean?
What do you mean by AGI?
Oh, artificial general intelligence. That's the next horizon. And Sam Altman says they've figured it out. That's when any AGI, it won't be an LLM, it will be some other machine system, knows more than pretty much all humans put together. And then there's super intelligence where it knows much more than all humans put together. And that's on the horizon, but AGI is next. And AGI will happen in the next few years. Something that is generally as smart as a PhD level in everything. As smart as the smartest humans in everything, pretty much. And there are tests for that, and it's coming. It's going to be different from LLMs.
Isn't it
will know that
it's just a repository of data that it informs from, that it draws on. And if the data is corrupted or poor quality, then the conclusions that it comes to are going to be poor quality. And what it lacks is consciousness or the effects of hormonal changes that influence our thinking and our creativity.
It lacks critical thinking. It doesn't do Bayesian reasoning particularly well yet, but it will. But it will. This will change. It won't be an LLM. It'll be an AGI, whatever that is, and it will be able to do critical thinking.
What's Bayesian thinking?
Well, that's a story for another day. We'll cover AGI maybe in another talk.
Okay.
So right now I want to stick with LLMs because LLMs are fascinating. They're doing remarkably useful work, and they're fun to talk to, and you can learn quite a bit from them. They just don't know what they're saying. That's the main thing. All right. And this is how they train. This is the sort of the metrics behind it. It's a huge effort to train an LLM. LLMs are trained on billions of pieces of text in over 200 languages. It takes about 6 months to train an LLM now. Grok 5 is training right now and should be out in December. GPT-6 is still in development and may have begun training already. It will also be an LLM. After that, they're predicting after GPT-6 will be AGI. It costs between $1 and $2 billion to train GPT-5. But once you train the LLM, you have a model that takes less than 30 terabytes of data. It stores on this little camera card. You can get any of today's LLMs onto one SSD chip. So the LLM product that results is not only small and manageable, you can use it zillions of times after you've trained it. Once trained, it doesn't change though.
Right.
Okay, and really what it mostly is the language capability, because then it can use other programs to go out and find news or fetch things and do more research. But the LLM doesn't change regardless of how much research it's doing for you. Now, once you have the model, you can use it to answer questions or do tasks. Running the LLM is called inference, and it's generally measured in queries, like when you ask it a question. In general, an AI query costs 20 to 40 times more than the same Google search. A Google search costs about as much as a grain of sugar, one search, and an AI query costs about as much as one M&M. The energy used for inference is about less than twice as much as for a Google search.
What's the cost? Why is it so expensive?
Oh, the compute cost. I mean, the infrastructure, practically almost everything but the energy. The energy is not that. The energy is pretty reasonable, but the cost of all the computers and all the processing is a couple order of magnitudes higher. So the dollar cost is 20 to 40 times more. Google searches are pretty damn cheap now. That's the basic thing, right? They do enough trillions of Google searches that they've got it down. And this cost of an AI query is coming down, and it will be much lower a year from now. All right, so this is kind of what it is. We've got these are the LLMs, but then they add these extra services to them. These are integrated, and so it knows the time and date, it can write code, it can read a PDF, it can understand an image. You can tune it, which we'll talk about in a second, and it's got a web search tool so it can go out and look on websites. And this together is the LLM, and then this is the wrapper, which you see as the app. It gives you the history, memory, it can store things. That's outside of the LLM. Mm-hmm. It gives you some preferences. You can upload files. You can do speech to text and text to speech. This is all in the app that provides the LLM services. All right, so we're going to come back to that in a minute. So that is the LLM. What is an LLM? I've got two more sections now: customizing LLMs, and then MCP, which is a new, exciting new development to extend their capabilities. And these are short. So this is fine tuning. in fine tuning, you take the 30 terabytes of vector data about the world that is an LLM, and you combine it with your data, blogs, videos, books, philosophy, documents, policies, publications, anything. And that can be done for a company or a person. You clean up the data and put it into a standard format, and you upload it to and OpenAI will do this for you, and they will run all your data through their training process, do all that inference that or all that attention that I showed you to understand what it means. That updates their entire LLM, and that gives you a custom LLM just for you. And they'll store that custom LLM and give you a custom URL so you can share your knowledge and others can use it. And this combines your data with the LLM's training data to give better answers to the kind of questions you typically answer. And it's very useful for things like employee training, websites, legal databases, patent databases, chemical companies are doing this. And the cost of it's really just updating the LLM just for you is very reasonable. It's a couple $100. Here's an example of one. This is a site where you can, this is called Delphi.com, and for $80 a month, you can upload all your information to the site, and it'll create an LLM with your name on it. So it answers as you and gives people advice. It's kind of a vanity thing, but it's fun, and I'm sure some people find it useful. Now, the other thing you can do is called RAG, and this is a way to customize as well. It's different. In RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, you upload all your information, but this time in a format that's accessible to the LLM. It's not part of it. It doesn't train on it. Then in response to a query, the LLM will use your own data, its data for language and your data for the answers. It only uses your data for the answers. So you can update it as often as you like because it's just a file that it accesses. And you have the flexibility to use different data sets for different users or tasks. It's less integrated, but it really replaces the LLM's knowledge with yours rather than adding to it. So it's good for companies where they don't want the LLM to talk about competitors' products. They just want to focus the LLM language capability on their data. And so this is actually quite popular. So now we get to web apps, and now I'm going to show you one. We'll do a demo. All right?
Absolutely. And you certainly did explain it simply. I know about AI, but in our first video, you did make it comprehensible on how AIs work, which is very, very interesting.
And it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
It is mind-blowing. It's like, bloody hell. It's a little bit like when I first came across Bitcoin and understood it. Bloody hell.
Yeah, right.
Centralized money.
Magic.
Yeah. And explaining to my brother how it couldn't be hacked or captured easily. Like, whoa, that was many years ago. Okay. So perhaps how people were with the mobile telephone moving on to the Bakelite phones.
Right. I mean, now we all take these things for granted, but we don't know what they're doing, and we think they're thinking, and it looks like they're thinking, and boy, does it help us think, but they're not thinking at all.
They're not thinking, they're just drawing on data. Okay. And so I'd recommend people go and watch that first video, which I'll link to in the description below, and do check out redshiftlabs.io. There's a Slack group where you can join and ask questions and stuff like that about AI, and ride the wave with David, right? Be ahead of the curve with David.
Right. Okay. I mean, as you've seen, and there are many videos on this, we don't have much time left. It's going to impact everything.
Yeah.
And a year from now, we're going to take for granted all the magical, crazy new things that are coming out in the next few months.
Yeah. Because I imagine it will accelerate. Somebody comes up with an AI and then use that AI to move the next innovation forward, and that progresses quickly. And then the next innovation, somebody used that to drive the next innovation, and so on. So it just accelerates.
And AI is now writing about 50% of most code in most companies. That'll go to 80%. And then at some point it'll be 100%. AI will write the code. You'll just say, what do you want? You just say, we really want the next generation of AI that's better than you are. Can you code that up? And the AI will say, sure, I'll get right on it.
Bloody hell.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, moving on.
They talk about AI going to negative time, where it'll pre-code up things it predicts you're going to ask for. So when you ask for it, it's already done. So that's coding in negative time.
Wow. Okay. Moving on.
So I'm going to show the state of the art that if my company is successful, will just be what we call a website in the future, but right now is indistinguishable from magic, as Isaac Asimov would say.
Yes, yes. And what we're going to do in this video is a demonstration of a web app, and then we're going to do another video uh, about prompts,
Prompting.
how to get the answers that you want in the right way from AI, how to
Right.
prompt it so it gives you what you want.
Right.
Okay. All right. So let's have a look at the web app stuff.
Yeah, let's do that.
Web app magic.
I'm going to just share my whole screen and go to a website called Promix. Now, this is a great company that has fantastic products for, these are supplements, vitamin supplements, and it's very popular. They have very high quality, that's their thing, and great people, very high traffic. Thousands of people come to this website every day. You can see I'm using my mouse now, but I'm going to stop that and just use my voice and talk with Byron.
Byron's that handsome fella in the top right.
Hey, Byron, it's David and Rich. We are here. Well, say hi.
Hello, David. Hello, Rich. Great to have you both here. What's on your minds today? Are we talking recovery, energy, or something else entirely?
Rich, can you hear him?
I can hear him. Yes.
Okay. Byron, where are you from?
I'm from the lovely digital land inside your screen.
Oh.
But if I had to choose a spot, I'd say somewhere with a good cup of tea. So let's say a nice British village, shall we?
I don't know if you want to see how the nice British villages are governed anymore, but let's go on to Promix and learn about products. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm in the gym every day lifting weights. Let's see some protein products, shall we? What have you got for a protein mix? Oh, these are BCAAs. I'm not that interested in BCAAs. Let's look at something like a whey powder. Oh, what's this?
This is Promix's unflavored whey protein isolate. Pure, clean, and with less than 1 gram of lactose per serving. Perfect for bodybuilders who want a high quality
what flavors do they have?
At the moment, it's showing the unflavored whey protein isolate. It's a brilliant blank canvas. Perfect if you want to mix it into your own smoothies or recipes. But if you'd rather something with a bit of flavor, we can take a look at some delicious options like chocolate, vanilla, or peanut butter.
I don't see peanut butter. I think that's for another product. Let's see the vanilla. All right, Madagascar vanilla. Now this is whey protein powder. This isn't whey protein isolate. Now I see something interesting. I see cinnamon swirl. Can you show me that? Can you hear me, Byron?
Loud and clear, David.
Oh, okay, I was asking for the cinnamon swirl. Can you show me? Byron, let's just see a couple more things. Do you have anything with beets? Okay, and what are blood flow berry beets?
Blood flow berry beets is a blend.
Can you show me? Show me the product. Okay.
So now that you're seeing the blood flow berry beets, I'm curious. Are you mainly interested in the performance boost for your workouts, or are you thinking about overall cardiovascular support?
I'm thinking it looks, is this a powder or pills?
Great question. The blood flow berry beets typically comes as a powder. You can mix it into water or a smoothie.
I'm thinking it's a very expensive way to get nitric acid. That's what I'm thinking.
I get where you're coming from. You're thinking about value for money. But this formula is carefully crafted for purity and performance. It's not just nitric oxide support, but a blend that helps maximize circulation and endurance. And
all
don't
right.
forget,
Thank you, Byron. Thank you, Byron. I think that's basically.
Well, before we go, I have one last question, David, that I want to ask Byron. Byron, would you say it's better for people to put their money in gold or in Bitcoin?
That's an intriguing question, but I'll stick to my expertise, nutrition and fitness. I'm not the best advisor on financial matters. Now, before you go, would you like me to add something to your cart? Maybe those protein puff bars or the cinnamon swirl whey protein?
No, that's it. Thank you, Byron.
There he goes.
All right, so
there he goes, finishing everything with a question.
He's prompted to do that. He's a sales guy. He's not an information bot. His goal is to maximize sales for the company.
Yeah, no, I knew he wasn't going to know about Bitcoin and gold, right? But
right, and so I want to now, and I'm going to share my screen and show how this all works.
Sure.
This is how Byron answers a question. First, we scrape the data from the website. So that website we were using, they don't know we're there. We are in a frame on top of the website. And for our clients, as we sell our system, it will be embedded and it will be a pop-up. They have to put some code into their site to activate it. But we were just kind of freeloading on them on top. And they didn't know that we were there. Those clicks were from Byron. We pre-process by scraping the site and get the information. And we had to do a bunch of work just to get the prices and all, for everything and the descriptions. And then RAG is where a company can upload its policies, documents, sales, training data, even recorded training phone calls that Byron could learn from, or its sales. It can have conversations recorded with its with the company's sales staff, whatever the company wants to upload, and that's done with RAG. And then when a user asks a question, we're using speech to text from OpenAI. This is called the new real-time system that they announced about 5 weeks ago. So that gives us text. That goes to the input guardrails, which look for flagrant violations of the input, like should I buy Bitcoin, or what is something else that's not relevant. And it will, in fact, in some cases, if you said something really rude or really sort of inappropriate, it wouldn't even get to Byron. Byron wouldn't even hear it because the guardrails would stop it. Or if you're trying to jailbreak the LLM, trying to trick the LLM into giving you something it shouldn't, it can stop that. So this is a guardrail. It's a separate thing. It also uses an AI, but it's separate. It's a separate process. Then once it's okay, it will send it in. And in your case, it sent in the question about Bitcoin, and then Byron has been prompted not to answer the question. Right. So this prompt is the sales prompt. In fact, the LLM is just the LLM. We could switch it out. The LLM has no proprietary information. We don't train it. It's already trained. We could use Claude or Grok. It doesn't matter. It's just really for language. In fact, when you ask some general things about protein, it's just getting that information from its pre-trained data. And then our prompt will teach it to be a salesperson. And our prompt is going to go pretty far into different sales techniques, what different people need. If people are ready to buy, if they're not ready, if they're kind of falling off and they need to be rescued, can we take their email and give them a newsletter, a nurturing, or send them more information? And so there's a whole spectrum of types of people coming to a website. Some are ready to buy and many are not. And so Byron will figure that out and try to give each person the next step on his customer journey or her customer journey. So this is like our proprietary company, secret sauce. And then when the answer comes out, we run it through output guardrails, checking that Byron hasn't made a huge mistake. Byron isn't saying gobbledygook or hallucinating or something off topic. And as long as if that's not okay, we'll send it right back and say, no, Byron, that wasn't good. You've got to fix it. And then it'll come out. And eventually we'll get a right one, and it will go from text to speech through OpenAI's API. And then we go to an avatar. And right now they have 4 male and 4 female avatars with different moods you can assign. And that's all. And that's what gives us the low latency you just experienced. It was a natural speaking cadence, right? There was hardly any latency. There was hardly any delay.
Yep.
Right. And this is what OpenAI gives us. And if we had another avatar from a company like 11 Labs or HeyGen, we could give them better voice and a better experience, but there would be a lag, and the lag is very uncomfortable. It's really not acceptable. So a year from now, there will be many more voices, and then you'll see the lips moving, and there will be many more features for these real-time avatars. But right now, you can see a picture and you can hear a voice, and it's very fast, but you only get 4 voices, four male and 4 female.
David, that's incredible. And so as I understand it, so there's a website that's already out there. In this instance, you use ProMix, and then what Redshift Labs.io app does is it sits on top of that website, draws out the data, then references other large language models like Grok or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever.
We're just using GPT-5 right now.
Okay, to get the data that allows it to combined with the information on the website that gives a website user or visitor the information that they want about that website, and it does it in such a way that it keeps it contained within what's relevant and pertinent and appropriate. That's incredible. So then that could be used for all sorts of websites.
Yeah, including HIPAA compliant and privacy protecting and all that stuff can all be done. So we're going to be talking with some plastic surgeons in the next week or so about helping them. And if a patient is identified and they get in with like a credentials with a passkey or with a password, then all the interaction will be patient private.
Right. Wow. So I could just sit here with my hands in my pockets, say, hey, listen, can you take me to this or take me to this or tell me
Yeah,
about that?
yeah, you could go online and buy from Amazon by talking to your phone and check out and give the credit card number and no clicks, no taps, nothing.
It's very
Strictly by
dangerous.
voice, right?
Very dangerous.
And this
Very,
is how a lot of things are going to do. And you mentioned privacy, we only basically use the LLM for language. And so you have a separate app that can be HIPAA compliant, that can handle all the patient privacy data, anything that, or financial, anything. That's the LLM doesn't know that. So that's a separate app that can be regulated and monitored for any, kind of privacy issues, can be
okay. And,
compliant with regulations.
and it could do it. I mean, the range of applications and the conversations that it could have is just,
Yeah,
I just thought, because last night I recorded a video with an astrologer. So it could be s- working with an astrology website. Here's my date of birth or whatever. And then it tells
absolutely.
me,
Right. Right. We're talking to some moving companies, and our app will be able to give you the quote for moving services and just book your move. You don't talk to a human.
okay,
It'll give you a quote. You can get a quote for almost any service, or you can configure your car or your motorcycle or whatever and just buy it and check out. You can do all that by voice.
okay, or give me an exercise program. This is my age and weight and demographic and how much I want to use. Give me a nutrition program.
No humans.
Oh dear.
Right. And we can kind of do that with text right now, but not with a conversation. And that's what we're bringing in. And then, as you can tell, our app is able to change the display of the site. No other company can do this. This is the first. In fact, the only other company we've seen that has done this is T-Mobile, because they were working with OpenAI at the beginning on this API, and they got it to work. We're the second ones probably, and none of the chat bots that we've seen can manipulate the website the way you just saw. Also, you notice it's full duplex, which means it hears us and I can interrupt it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm seeing what it's about to say. I can read fast, so I can just interrupt it and move on.
Yeah.
Right? So it's this natural flow, this conversational flow is what we will be bringing to many businesses, because there's so many different kinds of people. Imagine you go to the Apple website and Tim Cook says, "Hi, how can I help you?" And it depends. You might be an institutional buyer, you might be a school, you might be a kid, a parent, a member of the press, a shareholder. You might be, any one of thousands of people with your own requests. And Tim will just do what you need. It'll just get you what you need. So our goal is to do this mechanical stuff where people are asking questions and just trying to get things. And you don't have to hear, well, yes, okay, your wait time is 45 minutes. You are number 421 in the queue, to talk to a person who's just answering the same question all the time, right? All that will go away, all that repetitive, all the customer service. I mean, there's companies now. I talked to a company the other day. They're making 1.5 million phone calls a day to customers. That's for customer service. So all those giant buildings in India full of people talking on, headsets to people all day, that's all going to go away in very short order. And most of those companies are Indian. They know.
Wow. And then this app, I imagine it's flexible enough and affordable enough that it can be used by small businesses as well as large corporations.
Well, our goal is any company that's got full-time people on the phone, we will be far cheaper than the people. So you'd be stupid not to change over, because you're just costing you more money not to use our system.
Okay. But what about the human interaction? The jokes, the laughter, the mocking, the flirtation.
There just won't be any of that, Rich. It's just like, okay, sure. If you want to talk to the last company on earth that does that, their prices will be higher and everybody else's prices will be lower. So that's your decision, because that's just not, there's no economic value in that. Now, if there is economic value in that relationship, for example, let's say you sell drugs to hospitals, all right, and the personal relationship and or whatever services, or those prosthetic titanium parts and everything. I mean, they like the person to go show up, but eventually that's just going to be done by AI as well, and you'll just pay less. So you'll have a choice: pay more and have the human, pay less and have it done more accurately and faster.
Okay.
This wave is just going to crash over every industry and take away the repetitive work. And we thought sales might be kind of immune because sales is relationship based. Nah. Sales is about performance. You know, if they can get what they want cheaper, faster, and better, boom. Goodbye, salesperson. Our system also can do tasks which others don't. We can update CRMs, we can send messages, make a PDF and send it to you. Whatever tasks you need, our system can do. So we're really building a very flexible system that the way I think of it is acts as your best salesperson on the website. So whatever your best salesperson can do, show videos, show products, show testimonials, answer all the questions. And then now you don't need your best salesperson anymore, or you can keep that best salesperson and kind of level him up to do something even more spectacular with other new clients that might be even higher value, maybe. But most of those routine salespeople will go away.
Okay. And what about for the individual user? Could I have it so that like, so can you make an appointment with David for us to record the third in this series, schedule it in my calendar, send him an email to confirm once you've checked with him?
That will be in our next. Actually, I want to show you about agents. That's an AI agent.
Right.
And I have a section on agents that I didn't get to show in the last video, but we will show it in the next video about prompting. So we can learn about how to set up agents that will do just that kind of personal stuff and how to do prompting. That'll be in our next video.
Okay. Okay, David, anything else you want to say?
I've shown a web app that's driven really around an LLM. The LLM is at the center, but everything around it is kind of the critical part that makes it an app for doing something. And web apps are going to be much, much more popular. This is called a wrapper, and it's how many companies will be able to solve problems using English and conversations rather than filling out forms. So insurance, think about buying a home. Think about getting, doing something complex, job applications and getting interviewed. This will all be done. I don't know if you've been interviewed by an AI for a job, but I tried it once and it was fascinating. And it was great. I enjoyed it because it was really working with me instead of being this kind of intimidating, checklist person.
Wow.
So all that HR will HR will be 99% AI.
Wow. That's incredible. What are we going to do?
Lots of fun, cool things that we haven't been able to do because we've had our heads down doing all this repetitive, terrible jobs for so long. There will be so many new, exciting opportunities. And that's a really important video that I want to make called Drop Everything and What You Should Do Now. So we're going to do that one too.